Hello everyone, welcome to another COVID myth busting session with us at The Safety Net. I'm Dr. Vijayshree Patil and I am here to resolve all of your doubts and queries. Let's go ahead. Now before we start, I just had one request. We've been having a little trouble with social media algorithms because we use the word COVID a lot in our COVID myth busting sessions. So the only way that this fact checked, verified content is going to get across to people who might actually need it and help prevent the spread of misinformation is for you guys to like and share it so that it reaches more people. So please go ahead and do just that. Let's take the questions now. Okay, question number 1. Does smoking reduce the risk of COVID? Smoking most certainly does not reduce the risk of COVID. At the same time, smoking also could damage your lungs further, prolonged smoking of course, and that could in fact increase your risk to other respiratory infections also, not to mention lung cancer. So don't smoke. Question number 2. Does drinking alcohol prevent COVID? No, it does not. There were a lot of news articles saying people were drinking alcohol or drinking sanitizers because it had a high quantity, a high percentage of alcohol. That is a different type of alcohol. This is a different type of alcohol. This sanitizers first and foremost are not meant for consumption. So please don't drink sanitizers. Don't drink bleach. That is absolutely not recommended. That can lead you into a completely different healthcare disaster. So please don't do that. Take care of your own health and your, GI systems. Drinking alcohol, again, the alcohol that is meant for consumption is not recommended. It does not save you from COVID. It does not, if you have COVID, it's not going to destroy the virus by itself. So please don't drink alcohol in the hope that it will prevent coronavirus and COVID-19. So question number 3. Can you get COVID by eating outside food? In these pandemic times, the best kind of food is going to be your home cooked food. So having said that, I do understand that work has resumed, offices have restarted. Even for us doctors, when we have long hours, long shifts, night shifts, it's not always feasible to carry home cooked food. We do end up ordering food from outside. So this is a justified fear. I understand because I've done it myself. So few things before we go ahead with this discussion. Point number 1 is that COVID-19 is not a foodborne illness. It does not spread through food, through ingestion. There have been reports of people who were COVID positive who had loose motions as one of their symptoms and other GI symptoms also. But it is still a respiratory virus. It spreads through droplets like we have already discussed in our previous videos. If you haven't seen them already, please go back and see them. We'll include a link in our video description below. Secondly, most viruses are inactivated by heat, which is why we recommend cooking your food and boiling your water. So if you are ordering food from outside, try and order food that is cooked well. Avoid eating salads and juices which are made from raw fruits and vegetables because we don't really know how well they have been washed. We don't really know the hygiene and the quality and the standards maintained by a lot of places. So you might want to be a little safe at that end because these might act as fomites. Similarly, the boxes and the packaging that the food is delivered to you might also act as fomites. So you want to be careful when you receive your package, remove the outer covering, dispose of it properly, wash your hands and then sit down to eat. That could go a long way. At the same time, I think most of the delivery apps are also maintaining a certain level of hygiene with their delivery personnel. So we should be okay in that sense. Just understand how the virus spreads. So once we know that, we know exactly all the steps that we need to retrace and not do. So the basic ones, of course, are washing your hands, not touching the packaging and then coming and eating with the same hands. That would be a little hazardous. But if we follow the right steps, I think we should be okay to go. Question number 4. I am a young and fit person, but I stay with my parents who are old. I'm very scared that if I get COVID, I might kill them by giving them the illness. What can I do? You might not really kill them, but yes, I do understand where this fear is coming from, because a lot of us are young and fit, touchwood, but we do stay with our parents and grandparents, and we have heard that they might not be as fortunate as us. We might get away with an asymptomatic illness, or a mild illness, but they might have a more severe course. So this is a very understandable fear among most working young adults that we are seeing grow. And you have to, of course, be careful. You have to take your measures so that you don't get the virus yourself, and so that you are protected from it, which we have been saying over and over again. So wear a mask, social distance, and hand hygiene. And I do understand, given that, we use public transport, we work in crowded areas, it might not always be possible. So this is a justified fear that you might get it and you might, end up giving it to your family. But don't let it run out of hand. Don't be so fearful that it leads to a panic or a paranoia state of mind. We will be coming up with a podcast on our mental health series on how you can tackle this kind of anxiety and fear of contracting the virus and giving it to someone else who you might care for, who might not deal with it well. And we'll have psychiatrists and psychologists answering this question probably better than I would. So do stay tuned for that. We'll be airing it next week, and I think that'll answer your question a little better. So I hope we can help you better at that point. Stay tuned for it. So that's all we have for today in our COVID myth busting sessions this week. Do join us soon for our mental health podcast, where I'll be joined as usual by Dr. Nahid Dave and Mrs. Meghna Pradeep, where we'll be answering all your questions about COVID-19 and mental health. The anxiety, the fear, the paranoia, the indifference, the absolute bizarre behaviors that we've been seeing, and some very rational fears that are pretty natural and all of us have. So join us next week with both of them for our panel discussion on COVID-19 and mental health. See you next week.